Hello, and welcome back to Talis Crafts Badly. Hopefully I've got the camera working now. I just tried to do this a moment ago and the camera just completely failed in like a whole juttery mess. So I'm going to try again and we'll see if we can get it working. I think it looks like it's better quality now. I think it looks a little bit better looking at what I've got here. So we'll see what we can do. I said before, but I'm going to just start from scratch again. But I had a delivery, and that was a big old bag. Big old bag full of leather. And that's these kind of leather scraps that I've spoken about before that kind of come like this. They're essentially offcuts of sofa leather. And I'd actually run out of brown leather, or pretty much run out of brown leather. And what I wanted to kind of work on was that part of my armour that I was doing for the shoulders. I had a row of two strips of Lamellar like this. Like that. But really what I wanted to do was to have then a second row, so it would be sort of two layers of two. And I thought that would kind of give quite a nice effect on the shoulders, which will hopefully look pretty good. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit down and make a whole run of plates like these. Hopefully you can see that. And to do that with the technique that I'm using, because this is quite a cost-effective technique that hopefully I've gone over before, to do that I'm going to be attaching those bits of sort of scrap leather to some self-adhesive sticky back foam. And I'd actually run out of the type of foam that I like to use, and I got a big old delivery of more of that as well. I just got this from Hobbycraft. Sorry about the rustling. Yeah, I got this from Hobbycraft. I had it delivered. I think I've got like 20-30 sheets of it here. They just come as essentially A4 sheets of self-adhesive foam. They have quite a nice thick sort of texture that you can use, so that's what I'll be doing. Yeah, so just give me a second to set up a few little bits and bobs. Okay. Also, let me know if the music is off at all. I like to have a little bit of music playing in the background, but obviously I don't want it too loud. But hopefully that's going to be okay. Just makes the stream a little bit more interesting than just listening to me. So yeah, I actually already have a few of these plates done from last time, so I can kind of work out the pattern that I want to do. So I'll sort of show what I have. Bit of a mess here. Should really always try and keep your workspace clean, but I don't do that. Okay, so I'm really looking for are these, which are my kind of double D plates, and these are using the slightly red coloured leather that I have in the centerpieces. So what I have is a central double D piece of red leather, then two single pieces of D plates of red leather. And I've mentioned this before, when I'm saying a D plate, all I really mean is a bit of Lamellar which is in the shape of a capital D. I suppose from the orientation that would be the case. Lamellar comes in many shapes. I've gone over this before, so I don't want to be too repetitious, but essentially what I've got here is a D plate, and this is from my metal suit of Lamellar armour that I made, and this is one of the plates that I use for that. And now I'm just using that essentially as a template to then help me just basically make lots and lots of leather copies. So what have I got left over from what I had? I have a bunch of brown and a bunch of red. Hopefully you can see that. A bunch of brown and a bunch of red plates that have not had their holes popped in. So I'm just going to stack them up into little piles so I know exactly what I have. I think I have a lot more red, essentially, than I have of the brown, which is why I was waiting for a delivery of the brown, because I didn't want to basically have a thing where I broke that pattern. I want to have the double D leading into the singles and then into the normal leather. Sorry, the normal brown, I mean. So let me make a little pile here so I know exactly what I've got and what I'll need to make this work. So what we're going to do today, hopefully, I don't know how far we'll get, but what we're going to hopefully do today is do a row, hopefully, of plates like this, and then attach it together using the paracord, and that will give you guys an idea of how that actual process works. And I've spoken about it a fair bit, but I don't think I've actually ever really shown the process. It's fairly chill, it's fairly simple, there's not a lot to it, to be honest with you. It's the kind of thing that you could certainly do very easily. What I'm doing here is not wizardry in any way. The whole point of this was essentially to make a process which would be time consuming but not extremely difficult for making armour. So that's hopefully what this is. I think it's the kind of thing that anybody out there could really do, just as I say, with a bit of time. Okay, so I've got some piles here now that I've managed to sort together, and looking at this, I think I'm a few short of a few bits, a few things. So I'm short one piece of one of the double D plates in the red, so I need to cut myself one of those. Then, because basically I want 4 of these rows, and by a row I mean essentially like one whole strip like this. So I need 4 more of those. I only have 3, so I need to do 1 more. So I need 1 more of those. Then each of those will have 2 bits of red Ds that will accompany it, 1 on each side. So I've got those. So I'll put them in little piles according to what I need. Okay, so that's good. So I've got totally enough of those. I have more than I actually need for the single Ds, so I can put the rest of them aside. Then the thing is, how many of the single D browns will I need? So what becomes interesting here is that these Lamellar plates, they're actually sided. I think if you're designing your own plates, what I would recommend is to make them symmetrical. But the way these plates are, they're actually not symmetrical. I don't know if you can make it out, but if you look there, you'll see that the ones on the side of my pinky, the holes there are slightly closer to the edge than they are here. Also, if you look at the top here, that's slightly further away from the edge than at the bottom down here. That's just simply the way these Ds are designed. There is a practical purpose for that I've gone into before, and why they were designed that way. It was essentially to avoid thrusting weapons getting underneath the plates, and to essentially help protect the plates and protect the user. But really, for what we're going to be using it for, which is essentially Larp, that's not relevant. So I think if you were making this yourself, a Larp costume, or just purely doing it for costume purpose, maybe make your life a lot easier and just make them entirely symmetrical in hole placement, so it doesn't matter about having to worry about which side you have used your template to put your holes in, and that just will give you a lot more freedom. I don't have that advantage. So what I've done is I've actually marked my template piece with just a little X on one side and not on the other. And that's going to let me basically work out how many of each type I want. So counting along here, obviously I have my double D in red, my single in red. This probably isn't very easy to see on this camera, I do apologise. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10, just to double check that. No, completely just, yeah, 10. So then I have 10 on each side in the brown. So looking at my stack here, I have left over from last time 5, 10, 15. So I've only got 15 here. So to do a row, I'd need to do another 5 browns, and then that would be enough to then put a piece together. I also need to put all the holes in these individual pieces that I've cut out. Okay, so I'm going to do that now. So what this basically involves is marking up the pieces like I have here. Hopefully you can see these little dots. Sorry, my camera's not very good at focusing. But hopefully you can see that they've got these little dots, which is basically just registration marks that I've made by essentially overlaying this template of mine over the top, like so. And by doing that, my dyslexia really kicks in with this camera. But by doing that, basically that lets me line up where the holes are going to be. This probably isn't the most photogenic process to show you guys, but I thought it'd be interesting for us to kind of go through it all. So I've already pre-registered a lot of these holes, so I'm just going to quickly punch those out. Just do that. Just need a little hole punch here. Let's have a quick look. I think it was that size. Yes, pretty sure. Yep. So I just need to follow where those holes are, pop them out. Now I tend to push from the foam side when I'm doing this, just because the foam is easier and has more give, and you don't get as much deformation on the leather. If I do it the other way around, you can sometimes get a bit of scuffing around the leather. That's just something I've found through actually having done it a whole bunch. This hole punch, by the way, is just a classic cheap wheel hole punch that you can easily get on Amazon or any place really. Basically, after a while, you have to empty it. You've got to remember to do that, or you'll get these little bits that just end up flying everywhere. Oh, hey, Caro, thanks for joining us. Caro from Stranger Song, who joins us at Empire. He's just joined chat. The awesomest guy. It's played by a good friend, Robert. Yes, I'm just going over how I'm making some of that leather Lamellar that I've been working on, Robert. I got a massive delivery of more of that sort of off-cut leather that I've spoken about a whole bunch before. Big old strip here. So I'm going to get to turn some of that into some plates and attach it to my sticky back foam and actually see if I can show you guys the process of making some of these plates. So I'm just in the process of just punching out some holes in some now, and then we're actually going to see if we can attach them together. Let me know if the sound or the video, by the way, dude, is not great. I had some problems earlier and that was a bit of a setback. So everything's a bit late starting. And I'm sorry if this sound actually of me doing the hole punching is a bit loud as well. I'm afraid my hole punch is getting a bit knackered, so awesome, thanks dude. Yeah, no, streaming's great fun actually. It's just nice, I can kind of sit here and chill with you guys and go through the process of making stuff. As I always said, the clue's in the title. I'm not great at this, but at the same time, I've managed to make a few things just through trial and error, basically. So hopefully it can encourage some people to give it a go. I think this is a fairly cheap way of making armor as well, to be honest with you. I think, obviously, I've not fully made the suit yet. It's been very time consuming. I've really just been waiting for more of the offcuts of leather to arrive. That's been the big hold up. I'd gone through all of my pantry of brown leather. I was really just waiting for more. And yeah, that was really holding me up. But it is a long process to make Lamellar. Not probably as long as making like chain though. Chainmail takes ages. Just moving the bin there, getting the bin in a prime position so I can easily drop in handfuls of off pips and stuff. But yeah, it's long, but not like stupidly long. So hopefully I'm going to sort of make something fairly quick. So the thing, I put these holes, these little registration marks in my foam. And the only problem with doing that was, obviously I did that before I sort of took a break from making this suit while I was waiting for materials to arrive. With the problem being that now I've forgotten how sensible I was at the time when I put those registration marks on. So I kind of need to trust that past Ian was organised and had already worked out that he didn't want 20 plates orientated all one way. He wanted 10 orientated left and 10 orientated right. Not sure how much I trust past Ian. He's a bit lazy. Because if he's anything like current Ian, he's a bit lazy too. You have to be wary of that guy. So hopefully this will all work out. Okay. So fairly quick there. I've just basically punched out a hole in a set of 5 holes in a set of 5 there. So you know, you can clock through it fairly quick. So I want a stack of 10 that are like that. And then a stack of 10 that are orientated the other way. Yeah, what are you thinking of doing for your art? Are you thinking of doing something like this, like Lamellar like this? Are you thinking of a different sort of pattern, Robert? Robert was just saying that he was thinking of making some shoulder armor or something. I think the other cool thing with this is the weight is so light that this suit, because it's mainly foam and just a sort of a layer of leather, it actually is super light. And I think like that's going to be like a real big benefit of it. It's the kind of thing where you could probably just wear it as soft kit to a certain extent as well. But it also has that thickness where it could kind of pass for, it's got the thickness of thicker leather when it's all compiled together, so it has that sort of medium leather look. The other cool thing about making it out of this kind of hodgepodge of different types of leathers, like essentially all of these are sofa offcuts, as I've said. What I quite like about it is that you, for the style of what I'm going for anyway, you don't end up with this kind of homogeneous kind of leather plates that are all exactly the same, right? They all, like that, you tend to get little patches because I purposely kind of mixed them up, where some have a slightly different sort of look, and actually when it's all put together, I think that makes a really nice effect where you get like these kind of different levers. Like if I put these too close, maybe you'll see what I mean. The lighting's really bad here, but hopefully you guys can get an idea. Like that, they're both slightly different levers. Oh, hey, Hut. So both slightly different levers, and I think the actual effect when you layer them up, it looks really nice. Like actually adds like a little bit of a variety to the look of the suit. I think it makes it, yeah, it just makes it sort of have a bit more life, a bit more texture, a bit more style in a way. Actually, I like it when it's all sort of the way different plates catch the light differently. Okay. Right, so it's 10 going one way, so now I need to do 10 going the other way. And as I said before, these plates, they kind of have an orientation to them. So I have a feeling Pasty and wasn't super organized and wasn't smart enough to make sure that the holes are all orientated a different way. So let's have a quick check. Yeah, I don't think Ian did that. So I think I'm going to have to then re-register these holes. So to do that, it's fairly simple. So I know, for example, if you look, the holes on this plate, so this is my template piece, and this is the pieces that I'm cutting. So if I line those up, I know, obviously, hopefully you can see daylight through there. Hello. That those are registered like that. So all I really need to do is then flip my template piece over. So I've gone from using the side of the X on to the side without the X on, and then I can basically just go along and re-register the holes on these plates using that. It's pretty simple, but it just makes sure that everything's going to be lined up. As I was saying, if you are making your own template and you don't mind a little bit of historical inaccuracy, I think just make it symmetrical, and then you're not going to have to worry. And I think that's probably what I would have done with hindsight. Although I quite like it like this. It adds a little extra step to it that I think ultimately makes it look quite nice. A bit of asymmetry, actually, in general, does add a little bit of a nicer quality to it. So basically what I do is I just run around with a ballpoint pen, and because the foam is super soft, I literally just stamp holes through all the holes in the template, and that leaves little marks in the foam that I can then use to line up with my hole punch. And as simple as that. It's a super simple technique. It's quick, and because of course the lever has flex, you don't have to worry about being super precise. As I said, the whole point of this whole technique, this whole way of making armour, is just to be, the kind of thing that requires no skill really, because I don't have a lot. It doesn't require a great amount of money, because I don't have a lot. It doesn't require anything but a lot of time really, which is one thing I have a lot of generally, like in the sort of off time and stuff. So yeah, re-registered 5 there quickly. Let's have a quick peek what I'm lacking. Okay, let's pop those out. So now I just have to be careful to follow the actual registration holes that I've put in for this new set, because obviously the old registration marks are still there. walk down the line, open these out. I'm going to then have to make another 5 of these brown plates. But yeah, I think for monstering and for kind of low cost monstering, I think this kind of style of making stuff, you know, I don't want to sort of sit there and necessarily make my steel, you know, quadruple painted, epically long-winded suit of sort of Lamellar again. But I do want to have something that where I don't have to worry about using the armor that PD provide, which is actually really good, I should say. None of this is a knock on any of the free stuff you get if you're going for your first time monstering. It's actually really cool if you think about like the scale, what they have to provide for, you know, hundreds of players, and they've got all asks for everybody and all kinds. I think like PD do an amazing job of actually providing some pretty decent quality stuff to everybody. And actually, in a way, I'm not even promising that what I'm making here is going to be better than that. It's just going to be mine. That's the only difference. And the good thing about it being mine is that I can just sort of pop it on, tailor it to myself a little bit, make it a bit more forgiving to my own peculiarities, and yeah, just generally it's fun as well. So I think the monstering hit this perfect. But I'm also thinking for my next character, should something bad happen to Talis, he's probably going to be a bit more rough and sort of generally wear kind of crapper stuff. Talis is a bit of a fancy lad, well, for a Navarre anyway, who are not necessarily always the fanciest people, but he's a bit of a fancy lad, so he wears kind of quite flashy stuff sometimes for a Navarre, which is cool. Actually, I quite like that as a thing, as an aesthetic. I think that's really fun. But I think for my next character, something like this suit might actually double really nicely. So yeah, maybe I'll end up using that. Sorry about the lighting, by the way. I know it doesn't make it easy to always see all the stuff that I'm showing. Yeah, I wish, Caro. Okay, so let's get one of these double D plates popped out. So to do these, I mean, you probably all of this is really self-evident. But so to do one of these D plates, it's very simple. I just take my template, register the holes one way, flip it, register them the other way. Blammo. Very simple. Obviously, you don't need, so for example, I've got it there. I'm not going to need those middle ones, right? That's irrelevant. So I skip out on doing those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Flip it. Do the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pop those out. If you guys haven't had the chance to, you should check out Dave's streams that he's doing on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. He's been playing through Blood Bowl. I don't know if you guys are aware of it. It's like a Warhammer Games Workshop, Warhammer Fantasy sports game. That's pretty good fun. He's got Blood Bowl 2 and he's been playing through that. He's got like an orc team that he's been sort of going through the paces, and he's named all the players in the team after various people from Larp and stuff. So yeah, check out his stream. That's Dave the Larper. We're very imaginative here. Dave the Larper. So yeah, check out his stream, and it's a good laugh, actually. Really good value. Okay, so that's my central piece done. I've popped all the holes in, blammo. Now I need to do the 2 red pieces. So I have on these bits I've been working on, I have, as you can probably just about make out there, I have the central piece, and then I have 2, one on each side, of single red Ds, and then they go into the brown Ds. So I need to, for this next one, do 2 reds. So obviously they're going to be differently orientated, so I need to flip that as well. So just quickly register the holes for that and pop them out. And then I'm going to need to make myself another set of 5 brown Ds from scratch, because this is where I've run out of actual pieces. So we'll be able to do that, and that'll be nice and easy. And you'll actually get to see how these plates are made, and spoiler, it's not very difficult. So you'll get to see how those plates are made. But yeah, if you check out Dave's channel, I think he's got all of the videos of his previous games on there. So that's Dave the Larper. So you can go through and watch his orc team beat the hell out of a whole bunch of different teams. And I kind of enter chat and just chat via text to him and just sort of generally say hello, so we have a bit of banter on there just through text, and he kind of responds. So that's good fun. And actually, Blood Bowl, weirdly, it's like in a way you'd think like a turn-based game wouldn't necessarily be the best thing, but it's actually quite good fun to watch a game of Blood Bowl, because it has that whole kind of risk-reward thing is kind of baked into the cake of Blood Bowl, and it works really well, actually, I think, as something to stream. Let's set those aside quickly. Right, so I need to make 5 plates of brown leather. So I have a strip of brown leather here, blammo. So these, as again, I've said it multiple times, these are just offcuts from a sofa company. I've got 4 kilograms of plates, of leather strips here that they sent me. That didn't really cost a lot at all. I think that was like 12 quid for 4 kilograms. So what I need to do is pretty simple. I know how big these plates are, but I'll show you guys. And I always add a margin for error, so I literally just get me a little ruler here. Blammo, hopefully you can in some way make that out. There you go. So I just pop me plate up against it, and I can see that it's just over. It's about 7.5 long, this plate. I always add a margin for error, so I call it 8, and then in width it's 2.5, so I round it up to 3. So all of the sections of leather that I use are multiples of 8x3. Obviously your D plates or whatever your Lamellar plates are may be different sizes. You can really make any shape that will tessellate work, by the way. Also, if you want to be historical, D plates and A plates are the main things, and some other varieties that exist in that. But give yourself a little bit of play and make a kind of a row that will work. So I'm just kind of looking at my strip of leather here and seeing how many 8x3s can I fit in it. And you can obviously be super conservative and make it work. So I'm looking along here. I've got a nice clean cut down this side, for example. So I can use that as a nice edge, and I can be like, okay. So then what I tend to do is I measure out towards the edge, and I see, okay, I can get like a 6 centimeter bit. That would mean I'll only lose this bit up here, so I'll do that. So I draw a 6 centimetre line up. Obviously, if you had like a set square or something, which I don't have, but if you did, this would be a good thing for it. And with a biro, I'm just drawing in a little line, because you're obviously never going to see this side. And then I have to sort of see where that, if I carry on down this edge, so I've drawn my little line, but if I carry on down here, how long before it's no longer 6 centimetres thick? Probably not so far, about here. So now I can measure that. Blammo. And how long is that then? I can work out. How many multiples of 8 will that be? So obviously 8 doubled is 16, and then 8 more would be 24. Huh. So this is 23 and a bit. I think we'll probably be able to make that work. So I'll actually take it to 24 and lose a little bit of width, but I think the plates, because they have the curve. Oh, has the camera just gone? I hope the camera hasn't just gone. I'd be annoyed if it has. The camera has a tendency of just running out of batteries. Oh, are we back? We just stutter vision. I think it's just really stuttery. If that's the case, we'll probably just have to end the stream. My camera's been playing up a lot. I'm really sorry about that, guys. Bit of a pain. Let me know if it's unwatchable, guys, because if it is, then I'm just going to get rid of it. We'll just call it a day. It's a shame, literally just getting to the bit that was actually probably mildly interesting. The rest of it isn't particularly interesting, probably. Okay. Cool. Right, so I've drawn myself out a little square there. Hopefully you can see that. Oh, thanks, Karen. Draw myself out a little square, so then I just need to do the old snipperoos. Nice pair of fabric scissors really helps with this. I tend to abuse mine a little bit more than I should. I really should take better care of my fabric scissors, but they really do the job with this kind of material. Just give you really nice, good cuts, and actually in crafting for this kind of stuff, good pair of fabric scissors are priceless. They really do make a difference. Right, so I'm going to end up with a strip like that I know is obviously going to tessellate well with the plates that I have. See if we can get any more out of here. Actually, let's just let's rush ahead. Normally, what I would do is I would make a whole bunch of these. By the way, like essentially, then I would peel off the back of this adhesive, lay them all out on here, essentially in a nice little tessellated thing, and then yeah, and then essentially that would just let me sort of have a whole sheet of stuff that I can then make plates on. But we'll dash ahead a little bit and just get to the bit where I stick the back on a few. So this is too wide to put. Oops, sorry, probably can see too wide to do obviously on the horizontal, so I have to do it on the vertical. Yeah. Okay, so it's very tacky, this stuff, and I just peel it off essentially like so. Let's just make a bit of space for myself. then you can be as conservative as you like with it. Depends how much of this you have. Obviously, because we've added a bit of extra to the dimensions that we're using, you know, we've upped it from 7.5 to 8 and from 2.5 to 3. That gives us a need not to worry so much. And you just lay it down, just give it a little bit of pressure, and it doesn't go anywhere. And that's that done. Then now I've got the lever attached. Hopefully you guys can see that. Obviously sort of brown on black doesn't show up that well, but hopefully you can see. So that's all attached, and this really won't peel off. And it stays on very well. Then I just need to cut it out essentially. So this is the bit where you probably want to sort of maybe look after your fabric scissors a bit more than I do. I kind of abuse them a bit. It's probably a bit unfair to sort of have them cut through sticky stuff. They don't like sticky stuff that much. But I'm a bastard and I put them through horrible things. There we go. So you can just fold that back over. We can save the rest of that. I say normally what I would do is I would actually do a whole sheet of this at the same time. But just today, for you guys, essentially just made myself a nice bit of foam back leather that is, again, very strong. You know, it's not going anywhere. There's no risk of this peeling off now. It actually sticks very quickly. Blammo. So now we can flip it over, get our template, and I just draw a bunch of these out. See how many we get. So I needed 5 to finish off that design. I think I'm going to get, what's the multiples? I'll get 6 out of this sheet. Sometimes you can try and be a bit clever and see if you can squeeze out an extra one. Yeah, it depends if how much you value the mental gymnastics of doing that. But you can definitely sometimes squeeze out another one. So right now, I'm just essentially going along, drawing out these D shapes on the leather. Let's have a go. Let's go from the edge here. You can kind of use the edges as well and really try and maximize the amount that you're saving of the foam, and then attempt to try and get yourself extras. I tend to like it to actually cut the shapes out. I think if you cut the shapes out properly and don't push it right to the edge, you'll actually find that the foam has stuck down just that little bit better because of the way they kind of join. They just stick down that a little bit better if you don't stress so much about butting it up against the edge. And just it's one extra cut, so it's not really a lot of work, but I just think it adds that little bit more assurance that the hold is going to keep. And as I say, I've yet to have one of these plates fail on me. So I feel after doing probably about 1,000 of them that it's a fairly reliable technique. Right, so hopefully you can see I now have, I'm not sure how well this is going to show up, but I now have all those D plates drawn on my foam, and they're ready to get cut out. Yeah, that's a really good point actually. Caro, Robert makes weapons for Larp, and I can only imagine what the rigours your tools must go through. You should, yeah. I mean, you should. If you get a chance, by the way, do check out. I think your channel is it Beasts of Burden. Am I right? You post up some videos there of you kind of obviously doing a fair bit of crafting, going through how you make things. Yeah, drop the link in chat if you don't mind, and I'll read it out just to make people aware. But a really good resource, actually. Tell you what's kind of weird that I found about a lot of this kind of media. You can find a lot of information online, and YouTube is amazing. But there actually weren't that many videos that sort of... I know obviously we're all doing something very specific. But there weren't that many videos that go over, say, the making LARP stuff in a UK... for a UK LARP, by an English speaker, making armor or weapons using materials that you can easily get hold of in the UK. I know that's a very constrained set of needs, but those are needs that obviously, as someone who goes to a UK LARP, that are kind of relevant to me. There aren't actually that many videos that fall into that category. I think it's actually been really great that Caro's been able to post up ones, for example, of making weapons, for example. I think it might be one of the only UK weapon videos out there, for example. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like, it's bonkers. But I think that has real value because, like, materials aren't the same all across the world, and availability of materials aren't always the same. You know, I can say to you very confidently that something's very easy to do, but maybe you can't very easily get those things wherever you are. You know, maybe if you're in the US, maybe you can't get all the things that I can get very easily, or maybe you can. Maybe you can get them even cheaper or whatever. I don't know. Some stuff, especially, can be really expensive. You know, if you really don't understand a lot of the terminology, sometimes it can be very difficult because you end up sort of like, oh, maybe I should just get that exact brand that person is using, which probably isn't necessary. But I think when you don't know and you're very new to the hobby, there's a lot of assumptions that are kind of made about your own level of knowledge. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just search Beasts of Burden on YouTube and you'll find Caro's videos. But yeah, really, I think they are actually very, very good. And I think they'll guide you through at least some of the sort of considerations you have to make with making UK kind of LARP weaponry and LARP kit. I think they're really useful and valuable videos, actually. You kind of go through making a shield, and actually, just before I start whacking my holes in, have I got this orientated the right way? I don't want to immediately screw myself over. So I was about to do it wrong. Good. Always good to double check. So I need 5 of these, so I can put one of them as spares for the next bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And again, when I'm putting these registration holes in, I'm not worrying super duper about getting them all exactly precise. I actually quite like that little bit of the small errors, the small imprecisions, especially as this is monstering armor. And especially as I'm trying to make that slightly more rougher look, it all works to my advantage. The material works to my advantage. The method of construction works to my advantage. You know, the orc that put this armor together probably had about as much care as I do. Cool. So it's my 5 plates. So hopefully you can see that process pretty quick, right? From just getting your piece of leather, marking out an 8x3 multiple, laying it on that foam, cutting it out, and all of a sudden I've got whacker plates with registration marks that are ready to go. And again, what I quite like is you'll notice this leather has actually just a different look. Again, it probably isn't going to show up very well, but it has a slightly different look to the leather underneath. Right, slightly different gloss, slightly different sheen. Again, if you're after an immaculate suit that has like a consistency across it, maybe that won't be for you. For me, I actually really like that quality. Plus, if you're willing to accept that, you're not going to have to stress out about getting like a single piece of leather that's all the same. You get to the benefits of being able to have a piece of leather, being able to do what I've got here, which is the cheapness of getting leather offcuts from sofas. Yeah, it's just will make things so much easier and more cost effective. I mean, this whole suit of armour I'm working on is really not a lot of money at all. Like, all things told, 40 quid maybe. That's like it's probably cheaper actually. And especially cheaper for me because I obviously had a lot of this stuff already in stock when I began. So in fact, this is the first stuff I've needed to buy. This is the first new bits of leather I've needed to buy. This is the first new sheets of foam I've needed to buy. So, you know, in terms of just what I had laying around, I've only just started spending money on it. So if we're really seeing it from that perspective, then this suit of armour cost me... Yeah, the suit of armour so far has cost me pounds, really. I've got £13 I spent on that bag of leather. And probably 20 quid, I think, on new bits of foam. But obviously I'm not going to use all of that. I mean, I've got leather in multiple different colours here, and far more than I'm going to need. I could make probably another whole suit now. I've got another 4 kilograms of leather. So, yeah, I think you probably need 20 sheets of foam to make a suit, to make all the plates in the style that I'm making them. So assuming you're paying £1 per sheet, and you can probably get it a bit cheaper, although I think actually getting good quality foam is really worth spending the money on. So 20 quid on foam, 13 quid roughly on leather, and you can pay a lot less than that, by the way. I actually paid slightly more than I normally do for leather. I've got I have had it in the past where you've been able to get like 5 kilograms of leather for I think like 10 quid or something stupid like that. Oh yeah, you could definitely do it if you wanted to just... Yeah, you could definitely do it, Cara, just by getting your own stuff and adding the adhesive on yourself. I mean, that is for sure. Like, I like the laziness of literally just being able to peel off a sheet. But again, like, I mean, it goes to show like how cheap this is. And there are definitely cheaper ways of doing it. Like, you could 100% really cut the costs right the way down on this, to the point where, I don't know, I mean, you tell me how expensive it would be to do that. Like, not a lot at all. Right, so what I like to do is just mix up my leathers as well, rather than have them so they're all the same, because I say I like that look. So there's a bit of a jumble to them. So we're going to start stringing one together. Now I'm going to do some stuff here that is maybe not like, basically I just use a lighter and my paracord. Yeah, I think so. don't know how that stacks out. So Kara just said £20 for 1 metre by 2 metres. So £20 will get me 20 sheets of A4. I don't know how that stacks up. Obviously that, yeah, I mean, you are coming out certainly at a profit there. But it's not outrageous, right? It's not like... yeah. I mean, buying it from Hobbycraft is obviously not the cheapest. Okay, so yeah, sorry, I should probably actually describe what I'm doing here. So I'm just getting paracord. I've got a big old spindle up here that you can probably just see off camera. This is 100 meters of paracord, and this is 550 paracord, the 3mm stuff. It looks like that. And basically what I need to do is melt the edge, because obviously the thing with paracord is it's very frayed at the edge when you get it. So I use a lighter and essentially I melt it. Obviously there are better ways of doing this. I've got fairly calloused fingers, so I tend not to sort of feel it. But obviously, you know, it's fire, it's, you know, stuff, you know, you could hurt yourself if you're not careful. Be smart, take sensible precautions. I reckon if you've had some heat resistant gloves, you could do this way easier. Or just don't use a bloody lighter, use something much smarter than what I'm doing. So I just gently go around, and then I just twist it. Cool. I just tie a knot on the end. So now I've melted it down. Tie a knot. Make it nice and tight. And essentially what you end up with is a tight knot that looks like this. Sorry if that doesn't really show up. The camera has a need to focus on me. I'm not interesting. Yeah, sorry if you can't really see that. But you end up with a knot like this, basically. The reason for that is, obviously, when we pull it, we don't want it to come through the end of the hole. Just like sewing, essentially. Now, how much paracord are we going to need? I reckon I did actually have a whole measurement for this worked out, which I've completely forgotten. Would have been sensible to write it down. But I think it works out at about 80 centimeters. So I have a ruler here that is 30 centimeters long. I managed to lose my really nice metal ruler somehow. It's somewhere buried underneath everything else. That's 60. That's 80. Does that look right? That looks about right. Give that the old snips. Okay, so with this end, because we've got the knot on the other end, with this end we're kind of going to make this into a needle, essentially. So I melt the end again. This time I do this kind of pulling motion when I'm melting it. Again, probably not wise to use your fingers like I am. Can take a bit of shaping to get what you're after, but once you've got it, you'll know. Cool. Snipperoo! Yeah, I love that term. Okay, so if I look at the back of this, you'll see how it kind of comes together. So I don't know if you can see, ignore this middle line, because that's obviously how I join two of these rows together. But what I'm interested in is this row here, see? So it's basically fairly simple. It's not at either end, and it forms like diagonals, right? Diagonals like that. And then on the front, of course, it comes along as a continuous. Now, because of how it's done, I want to come in from the back, so the knot. Okay, the knot is then obviously behind, and then I can slowly move up my line. So I'm going to come in from the back and then back through the hole and in, like so. And then I pull that tight. Now paracord has this tendency to want to twist. So as you're pulling it, if you just give it a slight twist itself, you can work against that twist. And you'll kind of get this as you're kind of going through. And just give it a little tug. Blammo. Okay. Then just line the next one up. And this is super easy, guys. This is like super easy. I'm literally just lining up the holes. Right, I mean, anyone can do this. Right, line up the holes. Again, in from the back, but now at a diagonal. So I'm coming in at a diagonal. Hopefully, obviously, I've never done this before trying to actually show how it's done, but hopefully this comes through. Blammo, see? First piece, done, attached. Alright, back through the top. And away we go. The thing is, give it a little bit of tug when you get to the end. The friction actually of the pieces holds it all together. And just help yourself out a bit. Look at how it looks. If one piece is kind of getting pulled down, if that bit's getting pulled like this, just straighten it out. Think about that. But it's not very difficult, right? You can easily see when you've put too much or too little tension in. Okay, again. Then I'm going back in. Back in again. Taking the next sheet, next plate. Diagonal again. Back through. Horizontal. Back through. Line up the next one. Again. Diagonal. Back through. Ooh. This is the kind of thing, right? Oh, you just put your legs up. Oh, nice little stool under there. And this just does itself basically. At this point, you don't really have to think too much. Just lining up holes and threading. I mean, you might not be able to knit or sew or whatever, but this is like Babby's first sewing, right? Like anyone can do this. I can do this. So you'll notice I've got quite a bit of extra cord here, but I did 80 centimeters of cord, and you'll actually see it gets chewed up pretty quickly doing this by the sewing. I'll be interested to see how much I've got left over by the time I get to the end. Probably more than I've probably got more than I need here, and that will make me adjust my measurement for the next one. So normally when I'm doing this, I probably actually have all the plates done first. Or that would maybe be the sensible way of doing it. Then you can just sit there and do the threading, and you break your task down that way. There's that whole thing of sort of my own impatience. I sort of sit there and I'm like, you know what? I actually want to see something. So occasionally it's quite nice just to be like, yeah, I'm going to thread a bit together. So you've got halfway through making all your plates and whatnot, and you're just like, okay, yeah, let's actually just string some together. And it's the kind of thing, it lends itself quite nicely to that. It's easy enough, you're not going to screw it up. Like, if I do anything wrong right now, right, say one of these plates is just horrendous for whatever reason. I've not actually had a plate be like that, but let's just say for some reason something isn't going right, I'm not happy, or something gets damaged or whatever, right? It's really no more complicated than just snipping this paracord, undoing it, fix that thing, get yourself some more paracord, reattach it together. I mean, that was the reason why Lamellar was quite popular as well, because it's actually quite easy to repair. You know, you took a few wangs on your breastplate, and that needs to be hammered out, and you need someone with maybe a bit of skill to do that. Lamellar plates, you just have a couple of spares kicking around in a sack on your horse, and you know, you're probably only going to need like 10 spare plates. Right, and then you can just refred it and redo it yourself. It's not tricky stuff, you know. I'm gonna have a look at my metal armor at some point and do a bit of a job on that. I think I'm playing with the idea of prettying that up a bit more. Now we've got this whole lockdown going on. Oh, I should say, I'm so automatic there. I've reached the end. I have a massive wangy bit of this left over, so how much have I got for? So I went for 80 before, but I reckon I could take 30 centimeters off that. So we're looking at 50 centimeters for the next one. Way too generous this time around. Anyway, so I tie a knot on the end, right? At that point, it's all together and it's not going anywhere. I snip it fairly close. Sadly, at this point, this is all waste. It's not going to go. Now I just need to. Now you'll see what I was saying about the sort of frayed nature. Sorry, it's difficult to show things. The frayed nature of paracord. That's why you need to melt it. You can't really leave it like this. You have to melt the ends just to make it so it holds its shape. Again, don't be dumb like me. Don't use a lighter. Be smarter. Cool. Good. And that's it. Another row done. So I'm going to do the other side. So what do we say? We said 50 centimeters. Let's see if we get it right. We're 50. It's 30. 20. Snipperoo. Oh, be right back. Hello. Hey guys, the missus needs me, so I'm going to end the stream there, but hopefully that gives you guys an idea of how this works. We've managed to make half a row, same on the other side. I'm going to do a lot more of this. You can get an idea of how it all threads together. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. Hopefully this was good fun and something mildly interesting. Gives you a perspective into how this is all put together. You can probably guess it isn't very difficult, isn't very hard. Anyway, have a good one, guys. And yeah, thank you so much for watching.